All right. Welcome to the beer. Welcome to a. Oh wow. Hold on.
Do you want me to take over on
No,
this
no,
one?
hold on,
What
hold
are you
on,
gonna
hold
drink?
on. Welcome to Beer Protocol. We are going to be talking about Thanos.
He is inevitable. He has come.
Hi,
He is
Cat.
purple-headed, golden armored, and just wearing the most fantastic blue spandex you could hope for.
Oh,
His
God, he is
snapping,
so awesome.
his snapping fingers are ready.
And unlike the MCU, he's here to impress death and not like do some type of like
Okay,
population control.
I'll have a weird side scroll real quick. I actually thought MCU Thanos had his motivation made more sense. Like I
No,
know
it
comic book
didn't.
Thanos has partially because you can't do comic Thanos' motivation of trying to impress the anthropomorphic manifestation of death itself, because that would just require so much legwork in the MCU.
Well,
But at the same time, like we could recognize MCU Thanos is insane, but it's the kind of insanity that we could actually understand as being based on reality, which kind of makes it more pitiful and at the same
really,
time more chilling.
the idea of we need to kill everything in the world because or everything in the universe by half because there's not enough materials in the universe to keep everything going, or I'm impressing a chick. I think
I don't
the
know, James.
impressing the girl is a little more
Real
weighty.
life's a little rough, but there have been people who have made that argument in American history about American citizens for population
So back to
control.
our game.
I'm just saying, which one's the more chilling villainy? Anyway, back to this wonderful game about dice and cursing at
Yay!
said dice. James, what are you drinking today?
I just believe I'm drinking some type of uh cheap Kentucky whiskey.
Solid plan. Uh,
It was whatever we had in the decanter,
Decanters are good. I have another V for Victory, the No Brainer IPA.
which you can't see.
So yeah, you can't see it, but I
Put
tried.
it right in front of your face. Let's see if that works.
Please don't Photoshop my face and replace it with the can of beer.
Oh, I am now doing that. All right.
James,
So,
no.
clink.
Cheers. All right, so Thanos is a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to start off just kind of run it by the numbers.
Uh,
Thanos, the Mad Titan, also known as Thanos, has 8 health. He is a medium movement. He is size 3, which is honestly smaller than I thought he was going to be. But he
I
is
really
6
thought
threat.
I really believed he was gonna be size 3, but it was just like you can take his chair and make him a size 4.
Maybe. That chair is my favorite piece of terrain they've released.
Ah,
Um, So I want to talk a little bit. Thanos is threat 6, which makes a lot of sense.
yep.
He is the only. He's the only other threat 6 model is the Hulk, and I keep repeating my weird homebrew idiot theory. Please tell us in the comments if this is driving you nuts. But like threat 2 models are utility. They kind of
Yep.
do a specific thing or they gap fill. Threat 3 models tend to be specialists. They're good at one, usually only really one thing or one role, and they play pretty well. Threat 4 models are your more well-rounded. They can do a few things, or they have particular abilities which enhance what they want to do. Threat 5 models are your all-stars. These are the really heavy hitters. They have a lot of presence on the table. And then Threat 6, up to now, is Hulk. But now with the introduction of Thanos, I have to redefine what I think Threat 6 means. And I think Threat 6 is essentially game bending. Is these models are not necessarily like all powerful, but they change, like they basically bend the game around themselves to the point where you have to deal with them or plan around them, or a threat 6 model, be it Hulk or Thanos, kind of demands your opponent's attention.
Are we now describing this as like space time continuum, where the gravity, the amount of points, basically spends everything around it?
Well, so James, Thor, for example, you can plan around Thor. You could throw a status condition on Thor. Modok, once you burst down his shields, or you can kind of plan around him a little bit. Like he's going to be a big heavy hitter. Ebony Maw, again, if you keep hammering at him, he'll eventually go down. But you're going to focus those characters, but not necessarily the point of ignoring objectives.
Right.
Um, Hulk comes charging down at you. Can you ignore Hulk to chase objectives?
Oh, not really. Like you
Uh,
can, but it so like these
or
characters.
can you control Hulk like with
Oh
pushes
God,
and
no,
throws?
no, no, absolutely not.
Because I would
Like
argue like Thor is very very effective, but you could mitigate his overall threat with pushes and throws and forced movement, or by just outmaneuvering him. Because then it makes it harder for him to pull off his charge and thunder smite.
right.
Um, and I would argue Thanos is like that. Thanos is going to be a big enough draw that he's going to be extremely difficult to either control, shut out of the game, or ignore.
And
So
strangely
he's just going to be
enough,
someone you have to deal with.
he is necessary. Like he is the only character right now that's sick. Like Hulk, you can just be like, I'm not gonna take it. Um, you kind of have to take Thanos because he's the head of the Black Order.
Right. He has the leadership ability. So if you want to play the Black Order as a team, I think, note per the rules, I want to double check on this. Can you play an affiliation without the leader if
Oh,
half the list is still made of
yes,
that
but you
affiliation?
don't get the yes, but you do not get the affiliation agenda.
Okay. So the tactics cards, the specific Black Order tactics cards, I think would be
You can
why
still
you would
yes.
necessarily do that. Okay, so let's talk about Thanos some more. It's why we're here.
3-3-4.
Yeah,
Pretty good stat block.
defensively, his defenses are a little interesting. His strongest defense is against magic slash psychic, which is kind of neat. Otherwise, he has average to middle tier defenses. We'll come into why that he's still better defensively than he looks a little bit later. His attacks. Thanos has 2 cost 0 attacks. I think this is the first character they've released who does not have a attack you can buy with power,
Yeah.
which is all kinds of interesting. But his first attack is our beloved Strike. Range 2, 6 dice, 0 cost. After the attack is resolved, he gains power equal to the damage he dealt. And if he gets a wild, he can throw the character short.
He just hits you
Um,
so hard you just slide across the ground.
there is no size restriction on this, so he can throw the Hulk with this ability.
hmm
So that is definitely relevant. It's a pretty standard short range attack, generates some energy. His second attack, Cosmic Blast, is an energy attack, range 3, 5 dice, no cost. When creating the dice pool for this attack, he can spend up to 3 power, add 1 die to the attack roll for every power he spent. And then, if he gets a wild, he can Titan's Will. After this attack is resolved, he pushes the target away. The pushed character gains the slow special condition, which changes their movement to short.
These are both amazing. Like, seriously, he can throw 8 dice if he spends 3 power, which he's going to have 3 power. Um,
I think it is interesting to me that he does not have a powered up or like a harder hitting attack, as well as being the only other 6 threat character. He can boost Cosmic Blast to 8 dice, but even at 8 dice, that's about what I would expect for a 3 or 4 cost attack.
yeah.
So I appreciate that they at range 3, it's not super long range, like it's not long enough range to shut Venom out, for example. Although it is after the attack is resolved, so I think it's your turn for the push. You could push Venom out of retaliation distance.
I think Venom says immediately after the attack is resolved, so I think it will come first.
Okay. I don't know why I always look at energy attacks and think about Venom. I just do
Oh,
because
because
that's one of
he's
the best
weakest to
ways to
energy.
deal
Yeah,
with Venom.
yeah, yeah.
These are both very, very solid attacks. I think the throw is really, really good at his basic strike. When we come to some of his other abilities, I'll come back on that one.
I think both the throw and the Titan's Will, getting something slow is pretty awesome. But pushing things away short, you've gone from a 2 range to a 3 range. You've gone from a 3 range to a 4 range. So a lot of those counters are going to immediately be just like, oh, you can't do anything now because you're too far away. Especially the
So
strike is especially really nice because it's before damage is dealt. So you push them short, and then they're out of range, but you still do the damage.
the strike is a throw, even better than a
Even
push.
better, yeah.
You just eat them. I think you're right. I actually hadn't thought about the counters on some characters like Black Widow and Zemo. That does potentially give him the ability to edge out and be hard to retaliate against, which is good because you're sinking a lot of threat for your list into this guy, so you want him to stick around. So, at long last, we're going to look at the Black Order leadership ability, Death's Agenda. When an enemy character is knocked out, not dazed, knocked
Yep.
out, completely removed, this character's controlling player scores 1 victory point.
This is
Uh,
not an overly amazing agenda. It is very good for that tipping point. Like when you know, okay, I might not be able to get that extra little points from taking the objective, but if I kill this guy, I know I'm getting some points.
I think this is really interesting because I think, like we talked about in our last episode, when looking at looking at Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive, all 4 of the Black Order are very capable of dealing out large amounts of damage. Like we look at Guardians, where you have people who clearly, like everyone could do damage, but you kind of have different roles. Groot is
Mm-hmm.
protecting people. Rocket is purely doing just damage. Star Lord is throwing out status conditions to muck with your opponent. Black Order, while still having some role differentiation, all of them are very capable of dealing hurt, and I think this ability sells it. Especially since kind of the way I'm reading Thanos with his attacks, Thanos himself is not the damage dealer of the Black Order. Like Thanos is actually a support piece, and I'll come back to that in a little bit.
So you ever see the animes or the you can see the action movies where you have like the main villain is just calmly walking down the middle, just kind of slapping people away, but he's got like his minions just kind of bouncing around outside around him, doing other damage. That's how I kind of see Thanos in the Black Order. He's just gonna be marching down the middle as his minions just bounce around, doing extra little stuff.
Yeah, Thanos is the Shuri of the Black Order.
Yes.
He kind of is. But we'll come back to that in a second. I think Death's Agenda is really, really cool. And like you said, in a close game where they're playing objective, it rewards the Black Order for playing to this strength, that they're all very capable, hard-hitting characters. I think it's also kind of random bonker if you remember also that the game immediately ends when someone gets to 16.
Yep.
So as you get close, if it is a close game that goes on a little later, Thanos' affiliation, assuming you can keep him alive, can actually end the game before your opponent gets a chance to react if you get the last kill you need to push you to 16 or further if it's tied.
Yeah, this actually makes it a little more terrifying because now you're like we've always said in every single podcast that we've done, always give your opponents bad decisions. This agenda by itself is giving your opponent a bad decision. Do you camp the objective and have the possibility of getting some points, or having some Black Order take out that person and giving your opponent a single victory point? So it's like you're going to force people who are low health, who are on their wounded side, to run away from them.
Right.
So
Well, wounded
once again,
characters for several of the season hold objectives, there's an actual term for them that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Wounded characters usually aren't super helpful for that anyway.
but they can still like hold objectives for like
Yeah.
the flowers and the infected and that kind of stuff.
Excuse me as I wipe my nose with my arm.
So
True. I think one other thing I really like about Death's Agenda, and then we'll move on, is Thanos' sixth threat. And with Infinity Gems, which he's absolutely going to want to take in a lot of circumstances, he's going to be even more threat. And then the Black Order themselves are relatively threat heavy. You have 2 4s, a 3, and a 5.
yep.
Black Order is extremely expensive. So in a low point game, you might only have 3 Black Order models versus like 5 enemy models. I think Death's Agenda does help Black Order compensate for that, because when your opponent's bringing lots of low cost models, they are shockingly easier to kill.
I didn't think about that. Such a good point.
So this actually gives the Black Order a good leg up against lists which bring a lot of less individually powerful and therefore easier to knock out models, because now you can punch at your opponent's weaker models and still benefit.
Yeah.
So
good
I
point.
thought that was an interesting thing as well with this ability. Okay, on to the good stuff. Thanos' first superpower, Cosmic Portal. Choose another character within 4 of Thanos. Place the chosen character within 2 of its current position. A character could be placed by the superpower only once per turn. This is bonkers.
Yeah.
Because this is another character, not friendly, not enemy. He can teleport anyone. He cannot teleport himself. And Cosmic Portal is not once per turn.
Oh yeah, a
Each
character
character
can be
only be moved
placed by
once per turn.
yeah.
Thanos can just, if he has the energy, Thanos can absolutely just reposition the entire Black Order or completely scatter your list. Are Bucky and Cap doing a cool thing where they're trying to hold the line and tank up for days? Thanos just laughs and splits them up. Because
Oh,
I think their ability says they can't
they have to be within one of each other.
be pushed, but nothing. This is such a good ability. It's such good. Like, this ability on its own is a big part.
Oh, you're breaking up.
This and his other superpower, I don't know why I adjusted my mic. That's not going to help.
Okay, so are you?
Coming in?
No, you are. You are now coming in. Are you trying to download updates while you're doing this?
I don't think so, unless my computer's doing something in the background. Stop. Bad computer. No. Oh, now I've hit desktop. Everything's shattered.
All right, we'll edit this out.
Sure. Please edit out our technical difficulties. Remember that we are only humans.
So, yes, this is an absolutely bonkers ability. You can basically push Cap away from Winter Soldier. You can get Nebula and Gamora away from each other. Now you don't have Red Skull within Hail Hydra range. It is absolutely insane the amount of positioning that you can do with just this one power.
You could separate Rocket from Groot and then have anything kill Rocket in one go.
That is true. And get your point for it.
You can basically break up any bodyguard.
Yeah.
Or you could even force someone into range who wasn't in range a second ago, who had done their measurement. This is one of those abilities. Like, do you remember telekinesis in War Machine?
Oh, yeah.
And how that was a character-defining spell?
Oh. Do you know what else this thing does? And I just realized this. It's a place. It's not a push.
Yep.
It's so like, oh, they're hiding behind cover. Okay, cool. I pick you up and move you on the other side of cover.
And even though the number 2 is on there, don't forget for large-based characters, that is deceptively not quite how far they could
Yeah.
move, because this is not fully within, it's just within. So you could move their base around as long as part of their base is within 2 of where their base started.
Yep.
You can rotate that. You can get almost a range 3 total movement, and now all of a sudden you've completely changed the battlefield equation. It's hard to say definitively how good this ability is in isolation because it's going to depend on board state. However, it's good. This is almost certainly going to be a character-defining ability for Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
However, his next ability, Death's Decree. When another allied character within 4 of Thanos targets an enemy character with an attack, Thanos can use this superpower. If the attacking character is healthy, it adds 2 dice to his attack roll. If the attacking character is injured, it adds to its attack roll. This superpower may be used only once per turn. Couple things. Once per turn, just remember, is a turn is essentially an activation. It is not the round.
Right. So it doesn't like if Evan Maw is attacking, that is his turn. That means you can use Death Decree. Somebody else attacks, that's their turn. You can use Death Decree.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I've been trying to get a hold of my dad for Father's Day combos. But we'll wrap this up and I'll call him back.
Ah, sorry, I have a cat now.
Welcome to Cat. I would want to clarify. I don't know off the top of my head. I just thought of it. This is why I didn't look it up in advance. Just make sure turn could refer to the player. So for some situations, like when you activate Proxima and Corvus Glaive back to back, that may still be one player turn. So you may not be able to use it for both of them. I don't know off the top of my
Oh, that's a good point. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's still a turn because I think the card says immediately after this character's turn, activate this character. So that would be 2 turns. But it is a good thing to try to figure out.
Their ability says the end of this character's activation, not turn.
Ah, okay.
It does not use the word turn, does not appear in that ability. So I would try to double check on that one. That's likely going to be an edge. It's an edge case that exists. Sorry. It's an edge case that exists within Thanos' faction. So it's
Yeah.
going to come up.
Yep.
So what I think this does for Thanos, Thanos has good attacks on him. And I think he'll use those attacks, but not necessarily to be trying to finish off characters or be your main attacker. That's not Thanos' job in my mind. Thanos is going to be using his strike to generate energy to use his superpowers.
Yep.
100% Thanos wants to attack to get energy, also to just throw people around for lulz. I feel like he wants energy so he can use Death's Decree and Cosmic Portal as much as possible.
You literally could strike somebody, throw them short, hit a wall, gain 2 power from that. Go, no, place them 2 so you're back within range. Strike them again, hit them back into the same wall.
Unless you destroyed that wall with the first throw.
Yeah. Well, there's very few things that would destroy a size 3 building on a hit, but yeah.
My personal favorite idea is teleporting the Hulk into your melee range and then throwing the Hulk at people.
That's insane.
And
Yes.
just Hulk into your own personal battering ram. Because you get to do damage to Hulk. Yay. You'll probably get a lot of energy because Hulk can block a maximum of 2, and you're throwing 6 dice. So there's a decent chance you're getting a decent amount of energy by punching.
God dang it, there's no size limit to Cosmic Portal either.
No, yeah. No, I actually think Thanos laughs when he sees Hulk across from him, assuming that Hulk doesn't get to Thanos first. Because Thanos can just yo-yo Hulk around and use him to deal a really good amount of damage to Hulk's friends.
Yeah. So we actually went back to Cosmic Portal because it's so freaking awesome. Death's Decree. It's an amazing power. If you have the ability to use it, I would say use it. It is not a necessary evil, but remember, Black Order does have a card that says, hey, if you're about to die, you can go ahead and sacrifice yourself and, do awesome things. So...
sorry. Another thing of Death's Decree that's really important is when another allied character within 4 of Thanos targets an enemy character with an attack. The target of the attack does not have 4 of Thanos.
Right, it's just the person making the attack. All right, so
this means for stuff like Proxima Midnight's ranged attack or Ebony Maw can get the benefit by just psychically lashing at people.
Yep.
All right, Thanos has got more stuff in his card somehow.
Yeah.
He's a 6th threat character. He should be breaking the game. Being of immeasurable power, when this character would suffer damage from an enemy effect, reduce the amount suffered by 1. Additionally, this character may have 2 Infinity Gems rather than normally allowed 1, and may use reaction or I forget what the term is for the cross symbol. But he may use.
Yeah, it's 2 different types of powers.
Yeah, he may use those types of superpowers of Infinity Gems without paying the power cost. This ability does so much. We're probably going to spend the rest of the episode just talking about what this can do.
Oh, God, you have no idea.
When this character would suffer damage from an enemy effect. So, this is the invulnerability. I think we also mentioned how almost all of the border has some kind of damage reduction passive ability. Thanos is easily the best because it's enemy effect, not attack. Effect relatively common, but just remember, for some things, like say Tony Stark does his barrage of missiles and does blast damage, Thanos can shrug off that blast damage and not care. Because
would a throw be damage from an enemy effect?
I'd have to double check the rules. It may just add 1 damage to what the attack dealt. But say if you throw something at Thanos, yes, this will reduce the damage. He doesn't block the throw. Also super important. Unlike a lot of the other invulnerability abilities we've seen, this says reduce the amount suffered by 1. There is no minimum. Thanos can reduce to 0.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. That's insane.
So Thanos, if you basically anytime you only deal 1 damage to Thanos, he ignores it.
Sorry, Shuri.
So basically, there's a lot of Shuri is sad. There's a lot of game effects which can do trickle down check on status conditions like bleed. Because if bleed is an enemy effect, then Thanos actually can't be hurt by bleed.
Uh, I'd have to double check that because I don't know if it's an enemy effect at that point or if it's a status effect at that point. There might actually be a very, very distinct difference between those two.
Yep. You can tell that we don't do a lot of pre-gaming, otherwise we'd look all these things up.
No, and actually, it's one of these things that it's
Uh,
just like you mentioned something that's like a niche thing, and it's just something that when I was looking at the card, I didn't think about that. I didn't even notice that it said that it reduces it down to by one, not down to one. So, like, I didn't even think like, oh yeah, I could totally like get 0.
I think I saw someone else put online, say for example, that or Black Panther for whatever reason, and they use the Wakanda technology card to give everyone within a distance of them invulnerability 1. That will stack with this, and since you get to choose the order, you can reduce it to a minimum of 1 with invulnerability, and then use Thanos' own ability to reduce it to 0.
That's
So essentially,
insane.
with that setup, Thanos just essentially anything you have to do more than 2 damage to Thanos to hurt him at all.
Yeah, and the last thing he's got
This
is Gem Bearer. He can basically have every single Infinity Stone, and he has got immunity to stun, just because.
which stun is whenever you would gain power, gain only 1 power. So Thanos is always going to get his full power allotment.
Yep.
Okay, let's look at Thanos' injured side real quick, just to see what differences, if any.
Let me get that up.
Excuse me. Thanos gets 1 more health when he's injured. He gets 9 health.
Yep. That's it.
Otherwise, he's identical. Okay, so I wanted to go back to being of immeasurable power. So you can take up to 2 Infinity Stones, and if they give you any powers, you don't have to pay for them. That is so crazy.
Get the list
So
ready.
the current Infinity Stones. This is what's going to make Thanos really interesting. Like Thanos by himself at 6th threat is an incredible support piece. He can freely teleport his allies or his enemies around the table. He can buff the damage of an already very damage-heavy team.
Yep.
And he scores victory points when they take out their enemies. So just dealing damage is a viable win condition for him, and he both makes that possible, he augments and makes that better. At 6th threat, Thanos is great. I think this is a really fun model. I'm super looking forward to playing with him. However, with his ability specifically to take buff, Thanos can be something else entirely, which makes him super customizable and is really fascinating to me from a design space. So, my general thought is I don't think passive Infinity Stones that just give you some additional passive ability, are necessarily value added on Thanos.
Which are?
One is Infinity Gem Power, where he would get 2 power each round instead of the 1 for having an Infinity Gem. That doesn't seem super necessary to me. Like, Thanos can use the power. But I think Thanos is going to be... If he takes 2 stones, or 2 gems, then Thanos is making 3 power a turn, plus his strikes. I don't think he needs more power generation.
Yeah, we did argue about this one for a bit when we were actually talking about it, because I thought taking a Power Stone would be great, because then at the beginning of every turn, you're at least doing Death Decree or Cosmic Portal, just because you're now getting 2 power a turn. But you're absolutely right. It is like the third one down of what you would take. It's like the mid range. It's not like I'm not taking this at all.
For a similar reason, the recently revealed Soul Stone, where when an enemy uses a superpower within 4 of whoever has the Soul Stone, you get 1 power. It's cool. I like how it's reactive during your opponent's turn, where you're at the exact time you want to be able to use your other abilities, you're getting energy refilled to go ahead and do them. Like, you can basically top off for more Death's Decree during your opponent's turns. So that has potential. However, the Infinity Gems, which have active powers, I think on average they cost 2 to use, and getting those abilities for free is very silly.
Yeah.
So the one I don't necessarily know if I would take is the other recently revealed one, Reality. Reality lets you convert a skull to an exclamation point with each roll you make. It's super strong. Uh,
But not for Thanos, as he doesn't have a lot of. He's already throwing a lot of dice. He has the ability to throw more dice, but he's more of the general character. He wants to direct other people. He wants to teleport people around, punch them when he gets a chance, cosmic blast them when he gets a chance. But I don't see this being the end all be all. Like, yes, this is. I definitely need to do this where I need to change skulls. Other people can do it better with the Reality Stone.
kind of my thought is Reality Stone is good. However, it's not any better on Thanos than it would be on, let me check, Corvus Glaive, who can also take it. So
Corvus can do way better with this. Yeah.
Okay, now we're into the active abilities, all of which are kind of pay money. So, Space. That came out with Loki, where you choose... nope. Mind came out with Loki. Where for 2 power, you choose an enemy character within 3 and advance it short. You can only use it once per turn.
It's nice. It lets you do...
Getting that for free, activations, is nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It lets you do... Basically, it lets you move somebody for free because, once again, you're not paying for it. At least a short. And then if they're still not within the 4 range, which they should, I mean, you can do Cosmic Portal. It's a great way of, like, once again, using this character to maneuver your enemies around. And you're paying 0 for it, so perfect.
Yeah, you're paying 0. Okay, then we come to my personal 2 contenders, which I think he should definitely take. The Infinity Gem for Space. Space is for 2 power, or free for Thanos. Choose this character or another allied character within 3 and place it within 2 of its current position. It can only be used once per turn. But once per turn for free, you can essentially use Cosmic Portal with 1 less range. But, This is really important, Thanos can target himself.
Yes.
Remember how good Gamma Leap is on Hulk? This is essentially giving Thanos Gamma Leap.
Yeah.
It's the ability to teleport himself, which I think makes this extremely good.
And him being a size 3,
really
he's a medium base. That's still a pretty long distance. He's maybe a large base.
Right. It can also... Yeah, remember, base size is not necessarily correlated to actual character size.
Yeah.
Like, Corvus Glaive is a size 2 and is on a bigger base.
Yeah. Well, it's because of his glaive. But yeah.
His cape. It's because of his cape. Let's all be honest.
No capes.
Honest. I think the absolute no-joke Grand Slam Infinity Gem to take with Thanos, even if you're only taking 1 Infinity Gem, I think you take this one. Time. For 2 power, you get an extra action this activation. Or, for 2 threat, you slap it on Thanos, and it's like, Thanos gets 3 actions every turn.
Yeah, 3 actions at no cost. Why wouldn't you do this?
It's really good. And now you could make the argument, well, Thanos is not necessarily your attacker. Like, he's not going to be the person who's going to be built around punching people to death. That's what the rest of your team is for.
Hold on.
But
I move medium. I move medium. I mean, seriously.
Do you want to make Thanos your objective runner? As he teleports himself with the space gem, moves 3 times. But also, even if what you really want is energy, to use Cosmic Portal, to use Death's Decree, getting another strike on your turn could be big. Because that could be any... Because with 6 dice, anywhere from 2 to 3, essentially free energy. Also, you did some damage to somebody as a cool bonus.
Yeah. I mean, even with that. So, like, say, like, you strike somebody, you push them short. You strike somebody, you push them short. You have a Cosmic Blast now.
Throw them.
Oh, sorry. You throw, and then you have a Cosmic Blast to follow up because they're probably still within 3. So you are doing a lot of damage on a group that wants to do a lot of damage and get victory points from killing people.
I think my personal fantasy of my Mad Dervish Mad Titan is he starts the turn off with the Space Gem, teleporting himself within 3 of Hulk. I don't know why I keep theory gaming with Hulk. It just seems like people are going to throw the 6-point threat model at the 6+ threat model. He teleports next to Hulk. He punches Hulk in the face for energy. Throws at Black Widow, kills Black Widow. Or whoever is nearby. Is Rocket nearby? Too bad.
Oh, poor Rocket. He's just gonna get squished.
Then he teleports Hulk back to him with Cosmic Portal using the energy he just gained from striking. Punches Hulk again. Yo-yos Hulk. Punches Hulk again. Assuming you get wilds every time. Again, this is like my stupid mental image of Thanos. This is Thanos just laughing and teleporting around Hulk and beating the absolute crap out of him and using his body to hurt his friends. But also just from a pure objective point, you can move a lot. You have a self-teleport if you take both gems. You could go from one end of the board to the other.
Yeah.
And then you might even have energy left over to use Mothership and bring someone else from Black Order with you.
I didn't even think about that. You could just be like, hey, Dwarf, get over here.
And Dwarf might even be able to keep you alive a little bit longer. Because while Thanos is pretty sturdy with his damage reduction, you don't need to be sturdy if you're not being attacked.
Man, having, like, on turn 1, just having him and Dwarf, like right in the middle of your line is terrifying.
Like, Thanos can, no problem. With that setup, he can get to the middle crisis point without any trouble if there's an objective in the middle of the table. He'll probably even still have energy, because if he takes 2 stones, he's making 3 energy a turn. He'll probably still have energy to interact with whatever objective it is.
Can you interact with 2 objectives in a turn?
Pretty sure, if you have the power.
So Thanos with Thanos with the time gem could literally check an objective, move to the next objective, and check that objective also.
Potentially.
Yeah, that's insane.
Now, while we're talking about how crazy dumb Thanos would be with that setup, if you take those gems, that's 2 slots out of your 10-man roster, and that's 4 additional threat.
So he's a 10 threat.
Thanos by himself is 10 threat.
What's the minimum threat you can have in a game? Is 12?
I think it's 15.
I thought somebody had 12 now. But yeah, so you had a 15, which means you can take Thanos with 2 gems and Ebon Maw.
I don't know if I would take those 2. I would probably take Winter Soldier, so you can still be Black Order. And then whatever 2-point model you want.
Yeah.
Maybe Okoye to bodyguard your 10-point big boy.
Yeah, that's insane.
In a small point game, that's where I'd recommend taking some of the 1-threat Infinity Gems instead of the Wombo combo of time and space.
Or take none. Or just take none.
Take none. But if you're playing in a 20-point game and you can afford to fully dedicate half of your list to just Thanos, it's interesting. To use Thanos at his full potential, you are not bringing the entire Black Order.
Yeah.
So I think it is interesting as a faction choice. I'm unaware of any current crisis that would allow you to play all 5 characters in the affiliation, even without gems.
I think so. Key things to remember: you don't have to bring the Infinity Stones with Thanos. So they're in your roster. You can bring them, but you don't have to. So he is still a really good, insane character at 6 points. You don't need to slap on an Infinity Gem to make him even worse. If you're fighting against a Black Order list, just surrender, because I'll be playing Black Order, and I don't want you to fight me. So, but if you're fighting against a Black Order list, like, seriously, Thanos is really, really great. He's very, very powerful. You're going to want to treat him like Hulk, and you're going to want to try to throw everything at him. But you have to watch out about all the tricks he can do and the Black Order can do on movement. You need to make sure that you're watching all the angles. you have to make sure you gotta remember he's going to be teleporting people. He's going to you're going to have two people activating back to back. You're going to have somebody, probably Black Dwarf, dropped in your face. People are going to get thrown. Size 4 buildings are going to get thrown at you. Like, you need to make sure that you're watching everything, because a lot of people playing the Black Order are going to be like, cool, there's objectives on the board. I'm going to kill you.
Additionally, like trying to think of what's the counterplay against Thanos. Against Hulk, the counterplay kind of was if you can get rid of Hulk, like if you can bait out your opponent to use Hulk early,
Mm-hmm.
to activate Hulk earlier, and then you spend the rest of the round piling into Hulk. Maybe you can take him out before he activates Hulk again and gets the benefit of all those extra dice.
Also, I
Um,
was also, if you're playing against Hulk, it was just throw status effects on him.
yep.
You're not like before. It was, oh, throw stun on Hulk, and it's perfectly fine. He's not getting a lot of energy. You can't do that with Thanos. But like, we're not sure about bleed, but poison, staggering him, especially if he has like one of the gems, you've now taken his 3 and dropped it back down to 2. If he doesn't have time gem, you dropped him back down to 1. And a 1 action Thanos is way better than a 2 action Thanos.
Actually, I'd be kind of curious because it really depends if he has gems or not. But like again, I think the biggest thing about Thanos, and I may be undervaluing Thanos' attacks. It's perfectly possible. I haven't played him yet. I haven't seen how much damage he realistically gets. I think the combination of his two superpowers to move people around and to buff his allies' attacks, Thanos can stand there by himself and not even take his actions until the end of the round, depending on how the round plays out, and he will have delivered maximum value.
I can see him getting everyone else in position, like getting Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight into a position where they're just within range to bounce people around, or isolating somebody so they can take him out. Um, I really do see him just being like, cool, I did something with you, grab, toss you over that way, and let my minions take care of you. And then I'm going to go over here and just sit on an objective, and then what are you going to do? Um,
Yeah,
it's this is not Hulk. It's not run forward, beat things in the face. This is Thanos. Thanos is very, very much a uh, finesse type of character, even though he does not look it.
and I think it's also interesting is I think Thanos has less total health than Hulk. I think Thanos is probably a lot sturdier and harder to kill.
Yeah,
Because Thanos' defenses are better. So he doesn't really. I mean, a one more defensive die is still better. It's not miles better. He doesn't have Captain America defensive dice, but he has his damage reduction. And additionally, he can be dazed. So once you deal 8 damage to Thanos, you can't pile any more damage into him. You have to wait for the next round for him to come back. Unlike Hulk, who you could just keep pouring damage into him.
isn't there a card that says if you're dazed, you become undazed and gain a health?
There is a tactics card for that.
You
So
should
your
totally,
opponent.
totally take that card.
Um, so that's interesting to me. Is I've actually thought for a while Hulk not being able to be dazed and going straight to KO is actually another defensive weakness for Hulk. Because it means it's potentially easier to knock him out.
Yeah, and he never clears anything because he's dazed. So he just has status effects on him forever until he starts
Yep.
declaring himself.
So Thanos is likely more survivable than Hulk, especially with some of the Black Order cards like Blood Despair, where if you do daze Thanos, he gets a free attack. Now, it is worth noting, Blood Despair does say, as a tactic card, if they would heal from that attack, then they are not dazed. However, none of the Black Order have healing abilities.
And there's no cards that say during an attack you heal.
Not yet.
Yet.
I think the most common interpretation is they were trying to be smart and future proofing.
Yeah.
Just in case something comes out in the future that might have them recover, like another tactic card, or maybe they update the affiliation lists with some of the other Black Order characters from the comics.
Yeah.
and they add a support character or some other way to get healing.
Or some other character does come out that says if you're within a certain range and you make an attack, you can heal one.
So,
Stuff like that. It is that card is specifically for design space, I believe.
yep. So that was probably a good call on their part. What's the other big unknown is we can see Thanos. We don't see what tactics card Thanos is going to bring. Likely going to have another kind of Black Order shenanigan. And what I hadn't noticed until someone pointed it out is it appears that new Crisis cards are coming out with affiliation leaders. So they are no longer releasing. At least it seems that way for the last few releases. People have noted there haven't been any new scenarios in a while. Because
That's
with
true.
all the models coming out, there hasn't been a scenario release or a scenario update or a new one to come out. So the theory I heard that I'll be curious to see if it's true is they're going to tie Crisis releases, new crises for you to choose from, with faction leaders. So we may see a new Crisis with Thanos, maybe even a high point Crisis to make sense because the Black Order will be expensive. So it could give Black Order players new crises they could play with to push the 20-point threat limit up, perhaps even higher, maybe like a 25 or a 24 threat game.
I really hope they don't unless they come out with a official tournament because if I'm having a tournament, it's easier to go. I'm going to choose a lower point cost game and not risk running out the clock. So I think pushing that 20 point is going to come into a fact where I'm just never going to take them.
Potentially, I think it makes the game a little more forgiving with all the Infinity Gems out or soon to be out. Because now I think with a wider spread, now instead of taking 2 affiliations, you take 1 core affiliation that you've practiced, and then you take Infinity Gems to sprinkle as needed to get to your point levels.
Well, I haven't had that problem because I've just been playing Red Skull and Cabal. So
Right. Like Corvus can take Reality and Time. Ebony Maw can take Mind and Space.
yeah,
So, and then Thanos can take all of them. So even just with Black Order, you could take 4 different Infinity Gems and basically be able to drop in 1 and 2 point threat modifications to your list to maximize effectiveness. Now, is that good strategy? I don't know. But I could see a higher point threat scenario because if people want to play that way, it's potentially a little more constraining because you're never going to be able to go full in with the current point thresholds of having both Black Order characters and Infinity Gems.
yeah, we're
Like
we're gonna have to talk
maybe
about building lists and stuff because when you start throwing in Infinity Gems, the 10 character like so many points, it especially with Black Order, it becomes very difficult to make sure you fill all the gaps.
yeah. One thing I did think of one possible counterplay to Thanos is Loki. Loki's ability to make Thanos' superpowers cost more. Going from 2 to 3 is actually kind of a big jump.
Do you want to be that close with Loki?
That's the problem. Is if you're that close, you're within 4 for Cosmic Portal, and Thanos can just rip Loki in if he has 3 to spare and just punch him in the face. Because I'm pretty sure if Loki's within Thanos punching distance, he can't move far enough away to get out of Thanos punching distance.
He can't. He can't.
He definitely can't get away from a time and space spending Thanos, who is leapfrogging through reality to punch him in the face. So yeah, Thanos is
Yeah.
a new 6 threat model. With my current theory of threat levels in this game, he's going to warp the game around himself when he lands.
Yeah, I cannot
Which
wait
is
to drop this. I cannot wait to drop Black Order. I was really excited about Guardians of the Galaxy and all their shenanigans. Now that I see Thanos and the whole Black Order kind of like locking in, I really want to play with Black Order.
I think I'm also going to be playing Black Order at least a little bit. I don't know. It's an interesting design space. It definitely interests me. Like I feel like Black Order is a little more cohesive than Cabal, since Cabal is kind of a necessarily broad overhang,
Yeah.
covering a lot of archetypes and a lot of themes because it was the bad guy faction. So now that we have a new bad guy faction, it can be more focused because it doesn't have to fit all of the bad guys being released.
Until Goblin.
And we
One,
get the Sinister
if
Six.
we get the Sinister Six, I might just then at that point just be like, I like playing Black Order, slide to the side.
To be honest, like I definitely think at some point in the future there will be new core sets for this game.
I can see that happening.
I think definitely Spider Friends versus Sinister Six could be a core set.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because that's an entire because like there's the general like Avengers comics, kind of encompassing like mergers and crossovers, and then there's the Spider-Man series, which is so big on its own that I think Spider-Man has a rich enough mythology. It's kind of like Batman and his Rogues Gallery, and then the Justice League.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Where
whoa, whoa! Don't dip into DC.
give me a second to explain my analogy. Like Batman on his own is a rich enough setting that he can support a miniature game, and he has. Um, Look, that miniature game is real.
It
Uh,
exists. It exists.
it's probably one of the more direct competitors to this one in terms of theme.
Hmm.
But I could see Spider-Man and his allies and his enemies being not to be, if we're all being completely honest, not as rich as Batman. But for the Marvel properties, that's kind of my mental headspace. Is I think Spider-Man is detailed enough they could do a core set and do
Yeah.
it up real cool. X-Men definitely.
When they start dipping into X Men, X Factor, X Force, the X comics, I have a feeling you're going to see that separation. No, don't do that. You're going to see that separation of like the Magneto and the Brotherhood versus the X Men. I can see that kind of like doing that whole separation thing. Like we've already kind of had like the Avengers and Spider Verse kind of all mixed in together, but we haven't really had the X Men kind of mixing in. So, and even in the comics, it was always kind of the separation between the two.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's going to carry into the game also, where it's not going to be as prevalent uh, than just having what we have now.
Or or they do a War Machine and Hordes thing where it's technically a different branded game, the X-Men Crisis Protocol, but it's cross compatible and you can play X-Men models and vice versa. Which again, that's not a great example. That's off the top of my head.
It's a good kind of an understanding though of like they're the same game. It's just they're two different ways of looking at things.
Um, but yeah, we're kind of getting off topic. I do think Thanos now being fully detailed is really cool. It's really important for the game and for like sort of a meta Marvel. Like, there's definitely a lot more Avengers and MCU. Like the MCU, the movies have made a lot broader swath of Marvel properties
Mm-hmm.
familiar to people. I think we are definitely reaching a point. Like Thanos is like the capstone for
Yeah,
what people are familiar with in terms of like Marvel villains, like Marvel cosmic villains. Right now, it's Thanos. In the comics, I could see Galactus maybe. Galactus will definitely be like a scenario they
yeah.
publish at some
Galactus will
point.
be a scenario,
I really don't think Galactus himself would show up in this game,
but like Doctor
but
Doom.
his heralds could. I could definitely see some
I
heralds of
could see
Galactus
the Heralds
being
of
in some
Galactus being
models.
a faction. Yeah,
Um,
you have Doc Doom. You've got you got the Sinister Six. We are kind of now in that realm where the MCU stuff is has started to kind of be finished up. We still have like a few things from the Spider Verse that are carrying through, but I think the next phase, if you want to call it that, is going to be Sinister Six. We're going to get a Mysterio. We're going to get a Vulture, a Rhino.
yeah, they're going to go big on Spider-Man properties because, like I
Yeah,
said, Spider-Man might have one of the most fleshed out rogues galleries of any individual Marvel hero.
hmm poor Vulture. It better be the mechanical like winged Vulture as opposed to the comic. I just have Vulture wings and I'm an old guy.
I think he originally had a flight suit in the comics too. It got weird at some point. Um,
So yeah,
no, he better have a bomber jacket. Like
please,
he better have a
please.
bomber jacket like Zemo's. That's because honestly, like the Keaton interpretation or the Keaton version of the Vulture, I think, is one of the most relevant updates of any comic book villain. Like
I
it was such a good revision of the character.
yeah, they were like, we're gonna bring in the Vulture. I'm like, oh, you're gonna bring the Vulture.
And then
So
they made him cool.
that'd be cool. All right. So anyway, Thanos. Thank you for watching or listening to if you're listening to the podcast. If you have a chance and you haven't, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are quickly approaching the 100 subscriber mark, and we would love to pass that threshold.
Yep,
So
that'll help other people find our content. So we appreciate whatever you can do. And if you have any suggestions for what we should talk about next, there's definitely still new models coming out. There's new models coming out with exciting new features. Like I really like the transformation mechanics that they're talking about with some future models. I think that'll be interesting. And we are, of course, going to go big on Spider-Verse and Sinister Six, if you couldn't tell. Now we're just starting to see some of the trickling of those models.
we are supposed to still have a interview or collaboration with other bloggers and podcasters to talk about are the old models still relevant? Are the new models overtaking them? So we're going to work on rescheduling that. The pandemic kind of messed up that whole schedule, but we're going to see if we can try to get that back together. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it, and we're going to go play some games.
All right. Everyone take care. Game off.
Game off.